guys, Dolly here. Welcome back to Gypsy Rose Papery. I hope everybody had a great Halloween and a safe Halloween. I just spent mine at home watching movies because I'm a nerd. And then later on we gave out candy to the kids in the neighborhood and we had a really great turnout. We ran out of candy. So that's always a good thing because then it doesn't stay in my home and then I don't get to eat it. But on Instagram, I had a little mini kind of like dance party on my stories. If you missed it, I had a little Halloween playlist, and I will link it all down below. Well, not link it, but I will write down the songs on the playlist in case you guys were interested. So today we are going to do, this is episode 2 of my hardcover tutorial series, and on the first video I showed you guys how to make the book board. So if you made it along with me, then go ahead and get that out. I showed you guys how to make the spine. This is just a makeshift spine. I didn't it's not the actual spine because on the actual spine I already added the ledges. So this is just for me to show you how to do it, and then I have one already prepared just for the sake of saving some time. And then the other stuff you should kind of bring out is your scraps from when you cut out the book board and when you cut out the spine. You want to kind of save your scraps because this is what we're going to make the ledges with. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to kind of go and get that stuff, and I'm going to go get my paper cutter and we'll meet right back here. Okay, so I am back and I have my little paper cutter. That way you guys can really see measurements if that's your thing. So basically, I'll make this really easy. So your spine is 2.5 inches wide. If you followed along with the previous tutorial, you can make it as wide as you like. Usually I make them like 2 3/4 to 3 inches wide, but just for the sake of continuity, we're going to stick with the 2.5 inch one that we made on the last tutorial. And so we already know that with our scraps, we're going to have to cut them at least 2.5 inches wide if that's how wide your spine is. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and cut them at 2.5 inches. And if you have scraps like these, you could probably get about 2 to 3, 2.5 wide cutouts from it. And this is our third one. Okay. And you're going to want to cut out, I would say, 9 of these types of squares. So go ahead and cut out 9 of those because we're going to make a total of 3 ledges, and so that they are as sturdy as our cover, we're going to do 3 layers for each ledge, and I'll show you that so it's not confusing. So now your decision is going to be how many ledges do you want, how wide do you want them, and by wide I don't mean like this way, I mean lengthwise. And really it's your choice. You can make them this wide, totally up to you. With a spine, my preference, with a spine that's this narrow, I usually go for the skinnier ledges, and you can see that on my Angel Divination book, and I'll link it down below. I use the little skinny ledges, and then I use 5 of those. But for my bigger kind of books, like the goth books and stuff like that, I use a wider ledge. Not quite this wide. I would say half of this. So if we measure this, this is about 2 inches wide. And I don't know if you guys can see right there, that's 2. So I'm going to cut this in half at 1 inch. And this is where it gets kind of testy and you have to kind of lean on the guidelines in your cutter because they kind of move because there's not a lot of slack where you're holding. So we're going to cut them at 1 inch. and this one is just a little over 1 inch. So I'm gonna just cut off the excess. So there you have 2. And so however many ledges you want to make, you're going to want to make 3 for each one ledge, because we are going to glue them together to make them nice and thick and sturdy the way we did with the book board. And so basically you're making little chipboard ledges. And I'm going to go ahead and paste these, but you're going to need a total of 3 of these if you're going to use 3. And for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to do 3. So I'll let you kind of pause and cut out 6 more of these 3 1-inch in height and 2.5 inches wide little kind of rectangles. And then we can come back and I'll show you how to glue them. And so we're going to use our handy dandy Fabri-Tac. If you have a different glue that you like, definitely go ahead and use that one. I'm just showing you guys how I do it, and I never mean for any tutorial that I make to be like set in stone or has to be followed to the letter. Basically, I want you guys to use it as a guide, and then you guys can kind of decide from there if it works for you, or maybe you see something I don't and you see a different way of doing stuff, and that works better for you. And certainly that's how I've done it. I've kind of built my own way just by researching how older books were made. And I thought I linked some of those videos. They're not really tutorials. One of them is even like it's almost like a documentary, and the guy kind of lives out. It's like the best documentary ever. The guy like lives my dream life. Basically, he lives out in the woods, and he just makes books from scratch like they used to do in the olden days. And it's like an apprenticeship, and I think they kind of teach people that art, because it's becoming a lost art because people aren't really into books as much, which I feel is extremely sad. People are more into electronic type books, or books on cassette tape. Oh my god, books on, you know, audio. So I digress. Back to our book ledges. So this is what it'll look like. It'll be nice and thick, and it's not sturdy yet because the glue's still drying. So you want to go ahead and make 2 more of these. But for the sake of this video and for time, I'll pretend this is cured. And what I mean by cured is you want the glue to harden, and not that it's actually stuck or dried. You want it to actually harden, and that can take several hours. I personally let them kind of cure. I get everything ready and I let everything cure overnight at the same time, and then I kind of go back to what I was doing. But we'll pretend. So with my 3 ledges, my preference is to leave like about 1/4 inch at the top. And I didn't make the 3 other ones, but we'll pretend these are the same thickness as this, just so that you guys can see. I do one at the middle. Okay, and then I do one at the bottom, about the same distance, 3 1/4 inches. I mean, 1/4 inch from the bottom, 1/4 inch from the top. That's where I start my ledges. And I can't really see from where I'm standing, but that's what your spine will look like. And I have one that's ready. And I'll move this to the side, and you guys can see the one that I prepared last night. And so the other part of this is then, once you have your ledges glued on, you want to let those cure. And that step is really important because we're going to be putting a lot of pressure all around the ledge and kind of push up on it. You don't want that to move, because once you have glue and fabric and stuff starts to move, you're looking at a mess, and you're probably going to have to dump everything out and just start from scratch, and that's just very defeating and not the purpose of us doing this tutorial. We kind of want to take our time and kind of have a successful cover by the end without you having to restart everything over, if that makes any sense. So This is already nice and cured. But you can go ahead and come back, or if you want to try it, leave it for 2 or 4 hours at the least and come back and try the fabric part. You can do that as well. Just a little heads up that you might have some shifting of the ledges. So we are now going to start the process of getting fabric onto our book, and so obviously the ledges go face out. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my fabric. I'll be right back. So I've been hoarding this table cover for a year with the plans to use it, and I found it right after Christmas at the Goodwill. But I just realized it's vinyl. It's not fabric. And I could still use it, but the whole point of this tutorial is to kind of show you how to glue fabric onto this. And for that I need actual fabric, and I don't really consider this fabric because when I glue this on, glue's not going to go through this and kind of make a mess, which is kind of what I wanted to show you how to troubleshoot. Because it's one of the questions I've gotten a lot is how do I glue covers on without the glue kind of seeping through and making it look all ugly. So we are going to unfortunately replace this one, but I will still make a book with this one because I've been waiting a year to make that book. And we're going to use this fabric, which is a very thin cotton. I mean, it's almost see-through. And the sun is trying to come out and it's messing up my video, but that's okay. So we'll use this thin cotton because this is a challenging fabric to get glued onto a cover. And the reason being that the glue, depending on how you put it on there, will seep through this fabric and leave globs of hard crusty stuff on your covers. So we don't want that. So the next thing you're going to want to do besides your fabric is you're going to want to have baby wipes handy. And the reason you want to have baby wipes handy is because this is going to get really messy. We're going to be using our fingers. Those of you that have pretty nails, you might want to wear gloves or kind of use a bone folder if you have one, or a brush, because I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So our fabric, we are going to, first thing I like to do is kind of look at it. And it's hard to kind of catch and frame, but I kind of want to look if there's any difference in the pattern and which part of the pattern I like first. For this one, it's pretty much the same. It's just birds all over. So I'm not really going to get too crazy about where I'm going to cut. So I'm just going to lay it out upside down. So this is the right side, this is the back side. And kind of lay out my fabric here. So let's see if I can move the camera up some. So my phone died out while I was showing you the whole cutting of the fabric part and then beginning of the gluing part. So I'll quickly go through it, and I'll use a makeshift book spine because I don't have the actual spines already glued to the fabric. So let's just pretend for now this is our spine. You're going to want to leave about 1/4 of an inch of space in between the spine and both covers. I like to eyeball everything, but if you're not someone who feels comfortable doing that, most certainly please pull out your ruler and kind of get everything centered to your satisfaction. And then you can lightly take a pencil and kind of mark exactly where you wanted it to place the book board once you're ready to do that. For cutting purposes, you want to just leave, I would say if you're beginning, a solid inch or 3/4 of an inch to an inch all the way around where you've positioned your book board. So kind of like this and this, and then I use the corner of the fabric, just it's easier that way. You only are cutting two sides, and then you know you're cutting here and then you're cutting here, and then you'll have your square. Then once you have your square, let's pretend this is it. You want to reposition your fabric and then your book board to kind of map out where your spine was again, because you're gonna directly glue that on there. A trick that I used to use, but not anymore, just because I'm kind of grown accustomed to what it looks like. While I'm gluing, I'll leave these guys here. So when I take this out, that's kind of a guide for me. You could just draw around this, totally up to you. This is where you want to have your wipes ready, because we're going to use our fingers to glue and then kind of spread it around. And so I don't have the book ledge one anymore. I am so sorry, but your book ledge will be here. So I'm just going to pretend this is the book spine. You just want to glue it kind of haphazardly everywhere, over the ledge, on top of the ledge, under the ledge, and then continue in between the ledges. Same thing, on top of the ledge, over the ledge, under the ledge, and then in between. And then you're going to use your finger to smooth out all these glops, because the glops is what causes the seepage into the fabric. And you'll see me do it. I haven't done the actual covers yet, just the spine, but you want to go ahead and start smoothing this out the best that you can. If you have nails that are nicely manicured, this is acetone based, you're not going to want to use your finger. You're going to want to use gloves, or you're going to want to use a brush, but just keep in mind, don't use an expensive brush, because this glue will ruin your brush. So I will go back into where I'm actually kind of showing you how to smooth out on the ledge spine and gluing it down onto the fabric. So once you have gotten glue everywhere, you want to kind of smooth it out, get all the globs out, because that's what's going to seep into your fabric and kind of lay it down where you had it mapped. And now you quickly want to get all that glue off your hands, because you're going to start working it from the other side, and you don't want glue to get stuck on the other side of the fabric. So here you're going to start kind of forming around the ledges, and this is where I said you could use a bone folder if you needed to, but just kind of massaging it around the ledge. Okay, just kind of building the basic shape of it. And if you have glue still on your hands like I do, you just quickly want to get it off, because you're gonna want to pick this up and then really start working around that glue. And as you can see, because we smoothed it out, we don't have any seepage through the other side. Okay, and you want to get the edges too, because the edges tend to kind of roll up on you first. And you can continue to work this to your satisfaction. I really like sharp ledges, so I'll keep doing this and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I finished kind of massaging it and getting it quite as sharp as I wanted. This is where I just like to check if there's any kind of loose edging, kind of like that, because you wanna get that fixed now. you're not gonna be able to do that later on when you have it all wrapped. So same premise, you're just gonna put a little thin glop of glue that you're gonna smooth out, and then you're going to press down. Okay, and that way you don't get any seepage if you smooth it out with your finger. Just remember to quickly wipe it off so that way the glue doesn't stay stuck on your finger. So we just want to check all over, and it looks like we're good everywhere here. On top of here there is some looseness, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing and fix that, and that should be in frame. And you just want to kind of smooth it out, and then quickly be careful with the finger with the glue. You don't want to touch the fabric, but you kind of want to go back and get it all set in there, and clean off your finger because you're going to continue to work with this. Alright, so again, want to just make sure that it got stuck all the way to the edge, which it did, on this side as well. This side kind of is not stuck very well to the edge, so I'm gonna do the same thing. Just be really careful because there's not a lot of room for error here, so you might just want to take it and glue your finger, put the glue on your finger like that, and just very carefully try to spread the glue out. Again, being really careful on that. And I did get some seepage there. I just warm it up, and whatever came through, I kind of try to rub it off. You can see it did seep through there. You just want to just keep rubbing it and get most of it. If there's only a little bit, it's virtually not even visible anymore. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So I think I'm gonna move on from here, and we're gonna get the covers situated. So we'll do the back cover first. And same thing, you just kind of want to get glue all over the edges, and just all over the cover, basically saturating the cover best you can. Because this is a big surface, you can kind of smooth the top first. Okay, making sure you get the edges, because that's the part that's going to give you the most headache. And my glue is acting up because I've used it too much. It's saying no more. So I just keep working the glue best that you can. Okay, and just smooth it out with your finger. And kind of work on the other side as well. And the part about this that's hard, in my opinion, is that you have to move quickly, because this glue doesn't stay tacky for long. Okay, so just work as quickly as you can and smooth it out. And now you're gonna, if you already drew the line where you want it, great. If not, you want to make sure there's no wrinkles in the fabric, because it'll end up showing on your cover. And then kind of eyeball where you want it and set it down. Okay, and quickly flip it over, and quickly get the glue off your fingers best you can. And now you want to smooth. Okay, you want to smooth all over, all around. Alright, and once you have it smoothed out, you can kind of let it rest for a little bit and try to get some of that other glue off your fingers. Like I said, probably gloves would be better. That way you don't have to worry so much. You just kind of take the gloves off and start again. But the glue, even though it's on my fingers, it's dried out. So I don't have to worry about it getting stuck on the fabric. So again, you want to kind of in between the cover and your spine, you kind of want to press around there. You want to press all around this fabric and make sure that it adheres pretty well. Okay, and it looks like it has, and there's no seepage on any of it, and it's nice and flush. There's no kind of weird spaces where it's bubbling up because it didn't stick. And then to further kind of make sure there's no bubbling, you can kind of push it on the other side and then smooth it on this side, press down. Okay, and then you can move on to your other front cover. We will again start from the top and put as much glue as we can. Don't worry about getting over the top because that's actually good. We want that. So just get as much glue as you can, about halfway through. Sorry for hitting the camera. And then just start smoothing it out. Okay. And then kind of keep going for the rest of the cover. And this is why I say you want the cover to really be cured, because you're doing a lot of pressure and maneuvering all over the cover. And so you don't want this book board to be all bendy and kind of giving you a hard time. You want it to be nice and sturdy because you want to be able to just mess with it. Kind of beat the crap out of it, if you will. And that also tests the integrity of your cover. If you're doing all this to it, just getting it made, that you know that this is something that's going to last for a long time. And especially, these are my keepsake books, my hardcover, so, you know, I want it to last a long time. I don't want somebody to purchase this from me and it fall apart in a few months to a year. So here's what I'm talking about. See, the top dried while I was doing the bottom, because I'm talking too much. So we're going to just quickly wet it again. Quickly smooth it out. And then again, eyeball, or if you mapped it out, then you are smarter than me. And press it down. And then quickly clean your fingers and get any of the wet glue off. It's okay if dried glue's on there. You just don't want glue to stick to the fabric when you start kind of smoothing it out on the other side. Flip. And here's where you want to be careful and you want to kind of smooth out any wrinkles. And again, you can see there's no seepage throughout. And if you do feel kind of globs underneath, you can kind of smooth them out. And if you do get some light seepage, like I said, just keep rubbing it till all the glue that came to the surface kind of rubs off. Okay, and you want to do in between the covers. Okay. And just really just keep working it till you're happy with it, until you know for sure all the corners and everywhere are nice and adhered. All right. And so we're just going to let this dry, and I'll be back and we'll show you how to kind of cut out the corners and how we get this glued onto the inside and kind of finish up the cover. Okay, and so we are back. So now our cover, our spine is completely glued on. Our ledges are coming through really nice. We don't have any kind of weird seepage coming through. It's nice and clean. So this is an extra step. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to show it because I'm kind of showing you how I do it. So there's space in between the spine and the covers. You can totally leave it like that, and so when you finally get the book all done, you'll have an inside cover that'll support that. But to further support that, because it's such thin cotton and it's really wobbly, I go the extra step to do this. So I take my glue, and so see here how it's starting to come apart there. That's fine, we're gonna fix that. If it does come apart, don't freak out. Just go back to the step that I showed you, which is to kind of smooth out that glue. You just want to be careful because it's still probably wet, and so that's why that's happening. But basically you want to fold the covers pretty flush to each other so that what's exposed here is the actual fabric, just the fabric. So kind of like that. And you're going to take your glue and you're going to run it, and so this you will have seepage on, and you want that. And why do you want that? Because the seepage on the fabric in between, I'm not showing you what I'm doing, the seepage on the fabric in between, and you want to get those ledges too, is what's gonna create that support. It's gonna harden that fabric in between, and it's gonna create a nice support. So then you want to squeeze where you put the glue. You kind of want to squeeze, and you kind of want to smooth it out. And you want to leave it like this, squeezed, for a little bit before you turn it over. And again, that's gonna help kind of make this fabric nice and hard, and add support. And so now I'm gonna do it on this side as well. So you can, in the corners there, it's fine if you want to kind of add some more glue just for support, but you really want to get a lot of glue right on the edge. Same thing with your spine, and you want to get it on those ledges. Can you see that there? Okay, and same thing. If you have any glops like that, just smooth it out. It's not a big deal. You're going to want to squeeze and kind of close those up. Okay, and you're going to want to just let it dry a little bit, not too much. You don't want it to be fully dry, because if you can see, the spine is higher than the covers because of the ledges. So this is just to help adhere, and any glue that kind of fell on the actual cover, you can kind of slide off. And then you want to flip this, because now you're going to want to work in between those. Okay, so you kind of want to get your nail in there or your bone folder and then slide them together. And same thing with this side, you kind of want to slide them together. So this is them apart. See, you want to slide them together. And again, you're using some kind of surface to protect your desk because glue will go through to the surface you're working on. So this is supposed to be a cutting board. I call it my glue board and my inking board because that's what I use it for. And again, you just want to run your fingers through the middle. And then after you're happy with it, then you just want to leave it be. And then you want it to let it dry. And we will come back and kind of miter the corners and get the rest of this cover glued on. If not, I will put the time below when I do that. If you don't want to do this extra step, you don't have to. It's just to add support to your spine and your book in general. So we can come back to this. Okie doke. So I think it's probably stuck now to the to your surface, but it's nice and adhered. So see, it's not coming apart. It's staying in that shape. So of course, let's be careful about our beautiful cover that we just spent so much time, and just wipe down any wet glue on your surface. Get it all off because you are going to now work on the inside of the cover, and so the outside of the cover is going to be on your surface, and you don't want anything to mess up your cover because you will be pissed, believe me. It's happened. Okay, so this is what the inside looks like, and I'll show you my camera. I work from my phone, so it's not very good at capturing everything. But you want to get your nice sharp fabric shears out. And so basically the way I kind of miter the corners is I kind of cut at an angle towards the, let's see if I can bring this up better and that way you guys can see. So that's my corner. I'm gonna cut at an angle towards that corner, pretty close, so probably, I don't know, what's that, 2, 3, 4 millimeters. Okay, and then same thing, I'm gonna come back on the other side, cut at an angle and meet where I just made that cut. So you have like a little give right there. So let's just, now that you saw an up close one, I'm just going to quickly do the other ones. So here is where gluing really doesn't matter, to be honest, because this entire cover is going to be covered by your inside covers. So I like to, most importantly, I like to kind of glue probably like an inch down and then around, and then just go up and down. And this one you don't have to spread out with your fingers. I do like to get glue on the top just to make sure, just a nice thin layer, nothing too crazy. Same thing here. And again, about an inch. And same thing here. About an inch, and then on the top of, or the edge of the cover too, because I want to do this. So to make sure it's completely flush, I lift it up and kind of hold it there where the glue was, okay, and then smooth it over your top, and don't leave your sticker on your fabric like I just did. Oh geez, you guys, I promise you, I'm not usually this big of a mess. Okay, so let's get this in there. And you're gonna have these little flaps from where you kind of glued the excess, I mean, from when you push these together, kind of like that. Don't worry about that for now, because I will show you what to do. So now I do the top. I don't think it really matters how you glue this or what order. I mean, I don't think it does. I've never really kind of paid attention. Kind of just go with my instinct. But if you have a specific order you want to follow, then by all means. By all means. Okay. And same thing, I like to lift it up and kind of flush the fabric to the edge. You get that nice clean, you see on here, the nice clean flush on the edge, and that's what I want on the other side. And then you can kind of do the same, just smooth it over, and you want to kind of stretch the fabric over the cover, or over the book board. And then again, you're going to have that little bit here. It's not a big deal. On this part like this, where it doesn't stick, I kind of just put the glue in the fabric, on the fabric, as opposed to on the book board. And in these little holes like this, that these little fabric pieces that are kind of sticking out, then I just put fabric in there and smooth it out. Okay, you can kind of stretch the fabric again and press these in, and then press these back in the way they were. Same thing on this side, press it in. I mean, push it out, press that piece of fabric in, and then do the same thing. It's kind of like squeeze it in. So now you have, it's flush with the flaps that were already in there. And so this side will do the same. We're kind of put some, we'll kind of stretch it out, get some glue in there, get some glue in here, stretch it out, smooth them out. And if you don't have enough glue, just add. Again, it doesn't matter if you have seepage here, because we want that seepage to kind of create, just poke it up. Again, poke it up. You want that seepage to create a hard, like, covering over that metal there. So again, just squeeze them. This is a little tricky because you want to smooth it out first, and then you want to poke them up. Okay, so you'll have something that looks like that. So both sides of the fabric are kind of looped and flush with each other. Same thing with this side. Although this one is giving me, it's being temperamental, but see how they're both kind of flush if I stretch them out. And then you just kind of want to squeeze them back. And you can leave them squeezed like this or pinched in between while you get your other the other edges of your cover. So on this one, you might have a little flap like that. The first thing on these, I don't put the glue on this. I put the glue on the flap. And so I want to do the edge first. Okay, and then if you have a little flap like that, you want to put a little glue in here. Okay, and you want to pinch, kind of pinch on that side. You kind of want to flush it against the edge if you have that little piece where it's kind of flapped out. Okay, so you have something that kind of looks like this, and take your time with it because the glue will get more tacky and then it'll be easier. So kind of like that. This one has a little tiny one, so I'll just add some and kind of maneuver it from there. There you go. And you want to again have your wipes ready because right now, like, my hands have a bunch of glue that I want to get off because I want my hands to be relatively clean. Okay, and so this side we already have the glue on the edge. You're going to want to put just the glue on the fabric itself. So nothing too crazy, just kind of lay the fabric down and glue on top. And same thing, you're going to want to push down. And I kind of just use the book to kind of glue it in for me. So like that. And then make sure your surface is dry. There's no wet glue because you're going to do the other side. Okay, and same thing, so on the corners where there's like overhang, I want to put a little bit, kind of just press down on that corner. Okay, same thing through here. And just hold it. So you're kind of folding it towards you on the edge. So that way when you close this up, it's nice and flush. And if it isn't, I'm going to show you how to fix that. So, oops. You want to add glue to the edge, a nice thick line. And if you get kind of stuck there, don't worry, we will fix it. And see how it's come apart a little bit, just put some there. And then get your glue on your fabric. And this one doesn't matter if it's glopped, you can kind of glop it everywhere, it's not a big deal. We're on the inside, lots of room for error on the inside. And again, you're going to want to hold it, you're going to want to kind of slide it and flush it against the edge. Okay. And then slide it in. Okay. And we did get some seepage on this edge here. Not a big deal. Not at all. The edges aren't really a big deal because we're going to distress them. But even if you did and you weren't distressing, again, just keep rubbing. See how the glue lifts up? Just keep rubbing till the glue lifts up, and then you'll have a nice clean edge again. So here I over calculated, and so I have an edge there, and here I have some little flyaways, and we'll fix those. So really carefully, because you don't want to cut the fabric on the cover, you're going to cut that fabric off. And if there's still some excess, you can kind of lift up that edge a little bit and then cut it at an angle right from the edge out. Okay. And if you have like that little corner piece, we can fix that. We're gonna take the glue on our hands. Because you know, we haven't had enough glue on our hands this whole time. So for this little guy here, you're just gonna put some glue over it. Kind of massage it and shape it. Same thing with this guy here that kind of sticks out some. You're just going to shape it and see, we got it all fixed. There's no kind of weird little flyaways. It's a nice sharp corner. And again, before we put our book down, you want to make sure this is nice and clean. But I think we did pretty good. What do you guys think? So we have the nice sharp distinction between the spine and the cover, and it's nice and sturdy, so when we open it's not wobbling everywhere. Same thing with the other side, and you can always, with fabric tack, kind of play with it. It stays tacky for a bit, but yeah, that is our cover. Our beautiful bird cover, or whatever fabric you chose. And so our next tutorial is going to be how I distress my covers, and then kind of you guys can shoot me any troubleshooting questions you have, and I'll try to get those answered for you in the next video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope I didn't bore you. I hope it wasn't too long. And if it was, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry my camera cut off during that whole part with the glue, but I think I recovered it enough where you guys know exactly what I did. And again, if you didn't, if you have any questions, if you need any troubleshooting assistance, then leave me those comments down below and I will address them in my next episode of my heart cover tutorial series. You guys have a great afternoon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!